this week's episode, I thought it may be helpful just to show you some features of the van. It's a Burstner Elegance i728G, and it's the one that we bought. We upgraded to this just before, well, maybe about a year actually before I retired, with the intention of living in the van, and we've now been living in the van for 3 months. So I thought it might be useful for anyone who is thinking of purchasing a Burstner or a Burstner i728G, to give you a bit of a tour of the van and some of the features that we like about it. So we've crammed everything into this small space. In effect, our whole life is now in this van, and I thought therefore there may be some people interested in seeing how we do that, and some of the features of the van that we like, including some things perhaps we would change. I'll start with the outside of the van. You can see we've got the canopy up, and that's because it's a bright sunny day. It provides some shade for the dogs and Sue, who also likes the shade. As I move in, you can see the normal square toilet cassette holder, and then this rectangular locker, which we call our foot locker. And within that, we put all sorts of things like shoes, charcoal, the kinds of things that are going to get a bit mucky and we wouldn't want to get inside the van. As we pan round the side of the van, you can see there's another lockable storage area, and in here access to the water inlet. So the water goes into the van here. You can see I've got a hose pipe in there in the sun camp bag. Behind that I keep a toolkit, a spare emergency 10-litre can, and also you can see the 2 sizeable leisure batteries are kept in there also. And if I pull down this section here, it's a bit awkward to get down, but you can see behind it is where you get access to the fuses. Now just to the side of that, there's the electricity connection, not on a site where we need electricity hookup at the moment, but that's where it would be if we needed it. And then my favourite bit, the garage. And as I open the garage door, you can see the first thing is a ramp, and we use that for Archie. So when we're on chocks, it's easier for him to get into the van. With the ramp removed, you can see a very full garage, all sorts of things in there. We have the bike in there, and that's for those emergencies. We were caught out once in Wales, and Sue needed to travel. There's Archie's food in the big box at this side of the van. And Fudge's food is actually on the other side of the van, so we try and balance. There is a rail which Dan fitted for us, so we can hang coats up, outside coats in there. Here's some hooks, they just stick on, really handy. Here I have the fixed pockets. I've got the fixed pockets on both sides, and here is an internal cupboard, but one that is actually accessible from the outside, where we keep things like water, additional water, and all sorts of things. My bucket's in there as well. And this is the picture from the other side of the van. As you can see, we've got a couple of beds in there. They're dog beds, but they're the outside beds. And then there's this extra additional storage, things that we need really ready access to and don't want to be scrabbling around in boxes. Overtaking the van now. Sue's just walked out the door, so in fact both dogs are going to go out now. It's fairly typical. Once somebody goes out, they're quite happy to go outside. If I bring you into the van, it's a fairly normal setup. Obviously the pilot seats turn around, and then here there is a drop down bed. With hindsight, we did look at a van that was only a 2-berth, and actually without the drop down bed it gave additional storage inside around the edges. So I think with hindsight that would have been a good thing for us, because the amount of times we actually use that bed, well in fact we've never used that bed, so I guess. So this is the kitchen area, very nice kitchen area I think. Really nice smooth operating drawers. Here, wine rack, that's important, isn't it? But also really, it comes out much further, and there's plenty storage in there for all sorts of things. We'll touches. Obviously the van is our home, so some nice little personal touches. That was a gift from a member of the family. That was a gift from a friend. Other gifts from friends who clearly know that we love our dogs. And if I'm just going to step back slightly, just so you can see that where the TV is mounted, and a nice glass cabinet above it. Although actually the bottom shelf of those, as you can see, we haven't got any glasses in there. It's because it's really short, not really that practical. So I'd probably say that would be one of the things that we would change. As I move further into the van, again we have a shower here. You can't see it clearly because it's behind one of the doors, but nice shower. We really like the shower. In fact, I would go as far as to say it's probably almost as good as the one we had at home. And a great bathroom, with lots and lots of storage for all your bits and pieces. So as you can see, plenty storage in there, that's good. And then in this cupboard here, you've got the I don't know what you would call it, but the reservoir for the fluid that goes into the heating system, and again, more storage for bathroomy type bits. Under the bathroom sink, there is more storage. You can see there's a G-Tech Hoover in here, so it's obviously been a cleaning day today. More storage. We've got some running kit in the top and some other bits and pieces in the bottom, so plenty space. I'll move to the back of the van a bit further. We've got a shelf there with dog leads hung up. Great, it's a shame because it's hidden behind there, but Kath and Sue's happy place, which is a present from Lottie. If I move down here, here's where we've got some additional storage. So under the step here, it's actually quite a big locker there, and we keep our dry robes in there. It's an ideal place. Dry robes are ace, by the way. They're great obviously if you've been swimming, but they're also brilliant just for going to the toilet block and a caravan site if that's where you're staying. So this is the other side of that cupboard that I showed you from the outside. So as you can see, and then the shelf at the top, a couple of baskets in there, all with dog stuff in, so poo bags. These containers are what we use for dog food, one each for the 2 dogs, so we replenish these every 3 or 4 days from the big storage buckets that you saw in the back. And then to the other side, another big storage cupboard. Now this big storage cupboard, it's actually a really big cupboard. If I pull this out, you might be able to see a bit more clearly. It's a really big cupboard in there. And actually, if somebody could come up with an ingenious idea of how you make better use of that space, so compartmentalise it, maybe some drawers or something. What we've done is we've got these boxes and we use it for additional clothes storage in the main. But that's one of those. So the bottom box, by the way, is the one with all my winter stuff that I've put away, and obviously I will change that when we get to winter. I'll put all my summer stuff in there. But this is something that I think Burstner could do some more with this cupboard, just to make it a bit more of an effective storage area. Then our bedroom area with our fancy cushion, home is where you park it, and a little gift that I bought Sue years ago after visiting Canada. So storage in here, Smalls Sue's, and I'll whip round to the other side, Smalls mine. And if I pan across the bottom, you'll see there are 3 other overhead lockers, all of which have got clothes in them. So they're not massive, but enough for the day-to-day stuff that we need. Our whiteboard to help our failing menopausal memories. And so if I just perch myself on the end of the bed, you can see the great view that we have down the van. Now, there is a section of bed missing. When we bought the van, there is a section that you can put in. The section that you put in would fit here, across here, and then there is a ladder that comes down. We don't use that, we don't need it. It would hinder access to the storage. It would make it particularly difficult for Fudge, because that's Fudge's bed at the bottom of our stairs, if you like. We try not to step on her in the middle of the night when one of us needs to go to the loo, usually me, but that's how we use the space. So we're really pleased with our Burstner Elegance i728G. Hope you found this useful, and if you've got any particular ideas, particularly about that cupboard, which I don't think we use the space as well as we could, then please put something in the comments. We will definitely pick thing I missed. Two quite big overhead lockers inside. This one right at the back, way up there behind these things, is the controller for the solar panel, and as you can see it's got two USB sockets, so I leave these permanently plugged in. So that's an iPhone, standard iPhone charger, and an iWatch charger, but otherwise rarely a need to access that. If you watch the episode on solar power, you will see that I've got a Bluetooth connection that gives me the ability to get into that. The next cupboard along is where we keep our food that doesn't need to go in the fridge. We use a mixture of, I don't know what those plastic things are that Sue puts on bags to keep them fresh, and milk boxes, but it all gets crammed in there. So that's the goodie. That's the goodie cupboard. If I pan back round to the front again, there is some storage under this seat. It's pretty standard, so I won't show you. And then this bed, sadly we're constantly standing on it, poor old Archie, but that's where Archie sleeps at night. So that two big Labradors, and yet we manage the space pretty well considering. So I hope you found that helpful. Please let me know in the comments, and well, here's to more things great about Burstner.